Throughout these last couple of months, I've been trying to shed a light on some of the various rabbit holes of harmful content on the platform, such as Elsagate, which is essentially chef content with popular kids characters aimed at children, the Orphan Baby rabbit hole, which has depictions of child abuse, and the R63 videos containing depictions of Roblox avatars. Within my two videos touching on inappropriate pockets of YouTube that often contain content meant to be gratifying to some degree, I mentioned how I found uncensored videos with imagery, some of which have been age restricted. However, not only am I gonna shed a light on more content that YouTube questionably allows on the platform, but I'm also gonna make the argument that a lot of these videos should outright be removed as opposed to merely age restricting them, as I believe overtly content should not exist on the platform. First things first, let's briefly go over YouTube's guidelines regarding content. It states that explicit content or anything meant to be gratifying is not allowed on YouTube. Moreover, it states that this policy applies to video games, music, any illustrated or animated pieces of content, meaning that things like Rule 34 or, for example, wouldn't be allowed. Also included in this policy are inappropriate depictions of body parts, such as breasts, genitals, and buttocks. Furthermore, this same rule of not allowing anything gratifying also exists within YouTube's thumbnail policies. I want to make it known that a lot of the inappropriate content I went over in my Elsagate video and also in my R63 video do break YouTube's guidelines. However, majority of the content I covered in my videos exists freely without any restrictions. One channel that comes to mind goes by the name Uni44, and the content they produce is clearly meant to be gratifying, yet none of their videos get at the very least age restricted. And I now want to talk about this notion of an age restriction. Quote, sometimes content doesn't violate our community guidelines, but it may be incompatible with YouTube's terms of service or not appropriate for viewers under 18. In these cases, we may place an age restriction on the video. This policy applies to videos, descriptions, custom thumbnails, live streams, and any other YouTube product or feature. Furthermore, there does exist a section under this policy specifically for nudity and suggestive content, and some of the things that YouTube considers when deciding whether or not to age restrict or remove a video are, quote, whether clothed or unclothed breasts, buttocks, or genitals are the focal point of the video, whether the subject is depicted in a pose that is intended to arouse the viewer, whether the language used in the video is graphic or lewd, whether the subject's actions in the video encourage arousal, such as by touching of breasts or genitals or revealing undergarments, among other things. And now that you have an idea as to what YouTube's policies are in regards to adult content, I want to detour to talk about a situation that happened to a creator going by the name No Text to Speech, who covers Discord degeneracy among other things. On April 4th, he made a tweet talking about how YouTube took down his video investigating a Discord server where child are active, making it dangerous for minors to engage in said server, and he points out the discrepancy of cartoon channels aimed at kids such as Fatoon Boom, whom he linked, and I want to come back to this tweet in a moment. No Text to Speech was doing everything in his power to reinstate his informative piece of content, and on April 8th, YouTube revealed the reason for why they took down his video, apparently because it violated the child safety policy, having said, quote, content featuring minors engaging in provocative dancing, dares, challenges, or other behavior isn't allowed on YouTube, and he replied saying that his video doesn't encourage children to engage in dangerous behavior, and as a matter of fact, his video calls out Discord communities where there exists trying to take advantage of minors. A video of that nature should technically be allowed as it's considered educational and according to YouTube's community guidelines, quote, sometimes content that would otherwise violate our community guidelines may stay on YouTube when it has an educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic context. On April 11th, YouTube made a tweet reply to No Text to Speech having said, quote, confirming this was a mistake on our side and your video has been reinstated. So sorry this happened. Let us know if you have any other questions. However, this statement was false as his video was never reinstated and even today it's unavailable. Unfortunately, this isn't the only instance where his content was completely removed. In fact, during the month of April, through his tweets, we can see that he's been having issues with YouTube censoring his content meant to inform viewers about the dangers of certain Discord servers. And this now brings me back to his tweet pointing out how obvious content is allowed on YouTube. As covered in my Elsagate and R63 videos, I have found so much cartoon content not too dissimilar, in fact, sometimes even worse than the example No Text to Speech brought up in his tweet. And naturally, because the content features characters popular with kids, there's potential for them to stumble across this content. Channels like the aforementioned Uni44 hosting softcore Roblox Rule 34 videos, a channel that hosts uncensored animated softcore Easy, which uploads content featuring characters from My Little Pony, among other franchises, are all examples of channels who upload content that obviously only serve to be gratifying, as there's nothing educational about them. They aren't documentaries by any stretch of the imagination, they're definitely not scientific, and the only artistic quality these pieces of content have are the fact that they're animated or illustrated. However, the animations are in nature and therefore go against YouTube's guidelines. If YouTube is going to completely remove no text-to-speeches video that was inherently educational and documented and exposed inappropriate Discord servers, then why don't they completely remove the various censored and uncensored softcore videos from the site? There's absolutely no reason for not only the content I called out in my Elsagate video and especially in my R63 video to be on YouTube, but also all of the content I'll be shedding a light on in today's video, as there's already dedicated 18+ adult websites where they can exist freely, and they serve absolutely no purpose here on YouTube since inherently this platform isn't meant to find videos to go to. There's a clear discrepancy here with YouTube allowing softcore on their site while simultaneously taking down videos with merit that are in line with YouTube's guidelines, and I now want to further showcase YouTube's problem through the various channels and playlists I found on the platform. As previously established, any depictions of body parts for the purpose of being gratifying aren't allowed on YouTube in any capacity, including within a channel's profile picture as well as its banner. Moreover, YouTube has a policy regarding external links that states how channels aren't allowed to link sites that lead to at all. If you've used social media at all, there's a good chance that you might have stumbled across a bot, which is essentially a fake account trying to get whoever they come into contact with to click whatever link that leads to their porn site. I'm unfortunately no stranger to this occurrence, as over on my Instagram, I've had to block so many of these bot accounts trying to get me to go to their OF pages. Naturally, similar bot accounts exist on YouTube and have always existed to an extent. However, a lot of these accounts not only have thousands of subscribers, despite the fact they have no videos, meaning at some point they either did have videos or are using other bot accounts to subscribe to their channels, which would go against YouTube's policies. To add insult to injury, their profile pictures and banners often feature full-on depictions of uncensored breasts, genitals, and buttocks. And on top of this, a lot of these channels have spammy sites linked in their bios. I've already reported all of these channels, so hopefully YouTube does something about them, but it's pretty surprising that they're still up and haven't been swiftly removed. I'm sure whatever system YouTube has in place for moderating content is undoubtedly capable of automatically detecting imagery of this nature. This notion for sure applies to the platform's video content, because if someone were to plop a hardcore video they found on the hub or something onto YouTube, the automation system would automatically flag it, thus getting removed. It's odd that there's not a similar system in place to moderate channel banners and descriptions, as well as channel profile pictures, and if there is, it definitely needs to be tweaked to account for these types of channels. April 16th was the day I uploaded my R63 video showcasing the inappropriate Roblox content that could be found on YouTube, and in the comment section of said video, someone mentioned a pocket of not safe for work content on the site called Hora de Antojar, and so I began going down the rabbit hole and discovered a Reddit post made on April 19th, 2021, where someone wrote the following, quote, "I was scrolling through TikTok and a perverted Spanish video came up with the description saying Hora de Antojar. I tried searching on the Spanish dictionary but couldn't get any results. What does this mean?" First of all, the claim of this inappropriate content being found on TikTok does indeed check out, and there seems to be a whole other rabbit hole of suggestive content on that platform. But going back to the post, the question as to what this term means is raised, and when translated from Spanish to English, hora de antojar pretty much means time. Putting this term in search yields a myriad of videos that YouTube is questionably allowing on their site, and I now want to dive into the various pieces of content that are findable under this search term. To begin with, the channel named Hora de Antojar is one that I found which pretty much hosts videos. However, the opacity within said videos have been turned down so much to the point where they're barely visible, thus bypassing YouTube's automated moderation system. This is definitely something for the YouTube mods to take note of, as this is one workaround I've seen. But moving on, the main issue I discovered in regards to this Hora de Antojar rabbit hole of content are the playlists, as well as the content within said playlists. I have found tons of them, all of which contain some form of softcore, sometimes even having depictions of genitals and unclothed breasts. Some of them are age restricted, however a lot of them aren't, especially the animated pieces of content. Flamboy is one example of a channel that I'm just so confused as to why they're on YouTube, as the only thing they post is softcore adult content, and a lot of these videos aren't even at least age restricted, which confuses me even more. I'm gonna reiterate, this content does not need to be here. There's plenty of adult sites out there for them to freely exist. Another thing that confuses me is why aren't the animated and illustrated videos with uncensored genitals and breasts outright removed? If it was a real person showcasing their junk, I'm pretty sure it'd be removed in a heartbeat. Another thing I'm absolutely dumbfounded by are these clothing haul videos with women trying on see-through clothes revealing their breasts as they're completely visible beneath their clothes. There's this one channel that claims their videos aren't meant to be gratifying, as seen through the disclaimer they always put at the beginning of their videos, but anyone with a brain can tell their videos are softcore content by nature. And as to why these videos can exist under the condition that they be age restricted but no text-to-speeches video was outright removed is absolutely a discrepancy. The last video I want to mention that I found was an animated hardcore adult video featuring the character Raven from Teen Titans. This video has been up for a whole full 14 years, and I doubt I'm the only one who has reported this video, so the fact that it's still up is absolutely crazy. For obvious reasons, I can't show any of the content I found, but just know that YouTube absolutely has a problem with softcore adult content, and even though some of the videos are age restricted, I found uncensored depictions of genitals within some of these videos, obviously shown for the sole purpose of being gratifying, so as to why YouTube allows them when adult sites exist is wild. Overall, the moderation team absolutely needs to crack down on this issue, as it's not like these videos and playlists are obscure, because I've seen videos that have amassed millions of views, and some of them even feature cartoon characters that children are familiar with, which can be harmful to say the least.